Good morning. Welcome to virtual church at First Unitarian Universalist Church of Stockton. We're glad you're here and hope that you will find here what you are seeking. We are a community of individuals holding many different beliefs, coming from many different places, and each progressing on our own journeys of life and faith. We join together in our commitment to care for humanity and to shape a better, healthier, more hopeful world. We promise to accept and encourage all those persons of goodwill who gather here, recognizing that we all continue to grow and learn throughout our lifetimes. We especially welcome and stand with LGBTQ persons, even as we seek to welcome all persons of every age, ability, status, and shade of skin. We strive to make our community a place of peace and acceptance, love and nurture, even as we challenge ourselves and others to live more faithfully according to the values of Unitarian Universalism.
Our opening words come from our hymnal by Philip Hewitt, From the Fragmented World. From the fragmented world of our everyday lives, we gather together in search of wholeness. By many cares and preoccupations, by diverse and selfish aims are we separated from one another and divided within ourselves. Yet we know that no branch is utterly severed from the tree of life that sustains us all. We cherish our oneness with those around us and the countless generations that have gone before us. We would hold fast to all the good we inherit, even as we would leave behind us the outworn and the false. We would escape from bondage to the ideas of our own day and from the delusions of our own fancy. Let us labor in hope for the dawning of a new day without hatred, violence, and injustice. Let us nurture the growth in our own lives of the love that has shone in the lives of the greatest of men and women, the rays of whose lamps still illumine our way. In this spirit we gather, in this spirit we pray. Now we're going to light our chalice. So as Reverend Bob lights the chalice, I'll read the words. I guess you won't read them with me. We light our chalice today in appreciation of healthcare workers, first responders, grocery workers, and all those who are staying at their posts to help us get safely through this time. Our opening hymn.
Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know your mind and
hello. We're greeting one another, so I hope you're all doing well there at home. Now we're going to do our words of affirmation. Reverend Bob will represent the children today.
We believe in love.
Love is the only doctrine of this church.
We believe in truth.
The quest for our truth is our sacrament.
We believe in helping others.
And service is our prayer.
We believe in the sacredness of life.
To dwell together in peace, seek knowledge and freedom, serve humanity and fellowship, and cherish the earth and its creatures. This do we covenant, each with the other.
Good morning, friends. Today I'm going to read you a story that's really special because it was written specifically for this time in history, this very unusual time where we're all being asked to stay home to take care of people in our community. So this person named Ian Thomas wrote this book, and it's a free book that can be shared with anyone. And today I'm going to read it to you, and it's called Where Did Everyone Go? A book about staying home. You might look out the window and ask, why are we all inside? What happened to the outside? Is it still there? Did someone take it away? Where has everyone gone to play? Well, everyone is playing at home today. They're playing games or building forts or pirate ships or drawing pictures or dressing up. And you might ask, but why? Everyone's inside because some of us don't feel well. And if you don't feel well, sometimes the best thing you can do is just not be around other people in case you make them not feel well too. Some of us don't feel well. So because we care about each other so much, we've decided that the best way to show each other how much we love each other is just to spend a bit of time apart while those of us who aren't feeling well get better, because that's how much we love each other. And we do love each other here at UU, don't we? Maybe you're wondering, what will happen if you don't feel well, or if your parents don't feel well? Anyone who doesn't feel well will get some medicine, lots of books to read, flowers, and maybe even some jelly. I would rather have pudding if I'm not feeling well. We can also wash our hands to show that we care and to keep ourselves and our families safe from germs. You might ask, how long should we wash them for? For as long as it takes to sing happy birthday twice. If you would like, you can pretend it's your hand's birthday. And you're going to sing that happy birthday song 2 times while you wash your hands with soap and get in between the fingers and those fingernails where all the germs like to hide. So happy birthday 2 times. You might say, but I'm bored being inside. Bored. Being inside might be boring sometimes. I might have to sit at a boring computer or on a boring phone call or shuffle some boring papers around in a boring way while I think of something else boring. But I have an important job for you. I need you to chase the bored away. You can build a pillow fort to keep the bored out or read a book. The bored hates that. Or draw a picture of the bored. The bored hates having his picture drawn most of all, especially if you draw rabbit ears on his head. So this is a picture of the bored, and if you draw rabbit ears on top of the bored, it hates that. We're going to be spending a lot more time together and a lot less time with our friends. But if we miss our friends, we can call them and pull funny faces at them. And we can chase the bored away together. Look, there he goes. The bored with its bunny ears, getting chased away. But for now, we're together and we can do all the things we've wanted to do, like tidy our bedrooms or build a spaceship instead. What are you going to choose to do? And even if things get a little bit messy, we'll be here and we'll be fine. We might not be able to do all the things we want to do, but that's because we want to keep everyone healthy and safe. Sometimes things might seem scary, but I promise we will be here for you for all of this. We might not always know what's going to happen, but I promise you, you will be fine and we are taking care of things together. So that's your family and that's your church family. We are all going to take care of you. And we'll all be together again soon, very soon. So we can't wait until the day that we can be together again with you. But I hope that story helped you understand a little bit better why we're not together this morning. And I hope you're all doing well. I miss you all. Bye-bye.
At this time in our service, we share milestones in our lives by lighting candles of joy and concern. I encourage you to light a candle at home for anyone that you're concerned about, or to share the joys that come even in these difficult times. And I'll leave that one candle to speak for all of the joys and concerns this day, as I invite us into a brief time of silent thought, prayer, and meditation. As we continue with our quarantines and continue to gather only through our virtual services and the calls and other contacts we make with each other, we send good energy to strengthen each other through these times. We also send thoughts and prayers to family and friends far away. We take these moments to be thankful for how much this community means to us, the friends that we have here, and the ways we're able to tell our stories and be our real selves in this community. We give thanks for each other, for this church now scattered, but hopefully soon to return together. In this celebration, we join together in singing Spirit of Life.
Our next reading is The Litany of Restoration by Marjorie Bones Wheatley. If you want to participate at home, you can say "It will not matter" with each section that I finish. If, recognizing the interdependence of all life, we strive to build community, the strength we gather will be our salvation. If you are black and I am white,
It will not matter.
if you are female and I am male,
It will not matter.
if you are older and I am younger,
It will not matter.
if you are progressive and I am conservative,
It will not matter.
if you are straight and I am gay,
It will not matter.
if you are Christian and I am Jewish,
It will not matter.
if we join spirits as brothers and sisters, the pain of our aloneness will be lessened, and that does matter.
In this spirit, we build community and move toward. At this time in our service, we invite the sharing of gifts and offerings to support the work of this congregation. If you are able to send in a gift, an offering, or a pledge payment, please send them to the church office at 2737 Pacific Avenue, Stockton, California, 95204. Thank you.
The central task of the religious community is to unveil the bonds that bind each of us to each other. There is a connectedness, a relationship discovered amid the particulars of our own lives and the lives of others. Once felt, it inspires us to act for justice. It is the church that assures us that we are not struggling for justice on our own, but as members of a larger community. The religious community is essential, for alone our vision is too narrow to see all that must be seen, and our strength too limited to do all that must be done. Together, our vision widens and our strength is renewed.
The sermon today I entitled Plagues, Pandemics, and Postponements. This was the week that we were going to have our annual Flower Communion service, but somehow it didn't feel right to try to do that service virtually. I would much rather have Flower Communion be a celebration of our coming back together, hopefully now on May 3rd. I decided that I would focus this week on our current situation and possible historical precedents. There have been far too many plagues and pandemics throughout history to suggest that this one is nearly the worst ever to afflict humanity. But it certainly has changed our lives, at least temporarily. I think we are all aware of the bubonic plague, which may have killed 50 million people between the 6th and 8th centuries in its first widespread occurrence, and the Black Death, with its effect on Europe in the Dark Ages, killing a third of the human population. Leprosy, smallpox, cholera, measles, the flu, HIV/AIDS, and SARS have all caused epidemics and pandemics throughout history. Modern science and medicine have found antibiotics and vaccines to treat several such diseases, so modern outbreaks have mostly been quickly contained. The so-called Spanish flu pandemic in 1918 was the most widespread in the last century. Like the current COVID-19 pandemic, blamed on China, it was misidentified in its description to blame Spain. It hit the United States hard with hundreds of thousands of deaths. Worldwide, 50 million people died. It's already clear that the vast majority of people will survive the COVID-19 pandemic, though millions may die before it is either conquered or disappeared. Never in most of our lifetimes have we faced such a widespread threat. Never in most of our lifetimes have we been asked to shelter or self-quarantine ourselves for weeks or months at a time. Most of us have stayed home for a few days here or there with colds or the flu, but few of us have spent more than a few days in any kind of quarantine. For those of us used to getting out and shopping or otherwise being out whenever we feel like it, this is a massive change to our normal patterns of life. For those of us who are introverts, this isn't really such a strain, though still an annoyance. But for extroverts, this quarantine can be really hard. Please remember to check on your extroverts. If we knew how long it would take to lower the contagion curve and make the situation manageable, it would be easier. As in so many situations in life, it is the uncertainty of what we are being asked to do that makes this pandemic so challenging. If we knew that we could mostly go back to our normal lives in May, we could get through April. Even if we knew that the quarantine would stretch into May but be over by Memorial Day, we could begin planning to resume life by that time. This unending pattern is harder to take because we don't really know if we will ever go back to normal life. And if and when we are freed from confinement, will there be jobs waiting? Will our favorite stores and restaurants have survived this pandemic? There are just too many unknowns at this time. Now, some of the unknowns will become known as time passes, but at this moment, there isn't much that we can be sure about. Unitarian Universalists are probably better prepared to handle so many unknown factors than most people in this country. With no creed nor any shared belief in a deity, we are accustomed to looking out into the unknown fairly frequently. Some who believe in a deity engaged in human lives may struggle a bit more, but most of us who lean humanist or Buddhist can grapple with the unknown a bit more readily. That's not to say that it's easy for any of us to keep hearing the same reports about the pandemic with ever-increasing numbers of people affected. The comparisons between men and women who serve the country, especially in wartime, with those of us who are doing our duty in this pandemic by holding down our couches, is rather telling. But it is still not easy for those of us raised with an ideal of radical independence to stay in our homes so much. The recent closures of parks have made it even harder. We can spend some of our time outdoors. Life feels more normal. I'm glad I have dogs that need to be walked at least twice a day, a pleasant backyard, and some other essential reasons for going out. As most of you know, I like to travel, but my travels in the near future are going to be seriously hampered by this pandemic. I was intending to make a cross-country trip to General Assembly in Providence this summer, but I have not even registered, and even if it is not canceled, I've pretty well decided to skip GA this year. That also means I will be skipping visits to many of my family and friends that I make on cross-country trips. At this point, I'm not even sure when I will be able to go visit my kids and grandkids in Southern California and Arizona. With the bubonic plague and the Black Death, the number of bodies on the streets provided a pretty strong and odoriferous incentive to stay inside. The deaths from this pandemic are mostly happening in hospitals, so that other than the images of body bags being loaded into refrigerated trucks outside hospitals, we aren't even seeing the deaths. One of the reasons that wakes often have open caskets is to help give a sense of closure. I'm not sure whether we're getting a sense of closure and the full impact of this impact with the deaths hidden away. As I mentioned the other day, with the skies clearer than usual, with fewer vehicles being driven, it's harder to believe that this pandemic is as bad as it is. Even the hoarding of toilet paper and hand sanitizer is having only a small effect on most of us. It's hard to stay inside on a beautiful sunny day. It helps when it's gray and dreary. The ones who may be affected in the deepest ways from this may be the children. Events like these in their formative years can have an even more dramatic effect. I remember the television reports on the Vietnam War when I was growing up, along with the fear that nuclear weapons would be used. Growing up in the 60s, I didn't really expect to get beyond 30, and here I am, slightly more than twice that. Anyway, the memories of these weeks in quarantine will stick with children like the fallout drills under our desks stuck with us, and like so many other things have stuck with each generation before. How we react to this quarantine, of course, will teach much to our children and grandchildren. Most of the things that have been canceled or postponed can be done at some future time, though some games and activities and graduations may be difficult or impossible to replace. Lots of the meetings that we have been missing will have their agenda items added to future meetings, though we may also get used to using Zoom for some things. Even after things get back to normal, there will be too many people living on the streets, too many people with no insurance, too many people not making a living wage. Hopefully this time will help many of us who are doing reasonably well to better understand the plight of the poor and the working poor, and to convince the truly wealthy to be more generous. But it may not change much in the long run. I hope that it will be an opportunity for reflection for many about the state of the world and the climate changes that still remain pressing. Clearing the highways and streets and closing factories for a few days or weeks may actually help to postpone some of the worst impacts of climate change by days, weeks, or months. But without drastic, long-term changes in human behavior, we are facing a far worse future than the inconveniences of this pandemic quarantine. Perhaps this foreshadowing experience will help people to understand what we may expect within a very few years if changes aren't made soon. I suppose that suggests that this may be a very fruitful time if it yields changes in behavior, consumerism, waste, and pollution. In that sense, at least, the pandemic may be good for the earth, though for humanity, not so much. For now, just getting through this may be the most important thing. But if people come out of this time more aware, kinder, more willing to work for the good of all, there could be positive outcomes from this horrible pandemic. If humanity learns nothing, it will be sad, and we will be even less ready for the next disaster. I hope that we will learn many things and that the loss of life will not be as high as currently predicted. I hope that wisdom will replace the fears that are now driving responses, and that the earth and all of life, not just humanity, will be better following this time. I pray for those who are suffering. I send good energy to all those in need. I join in celebrating Palm Sunday with Christians around the world. I encourage you each and all to reach out to others in whatever ways you can, to connect with friends, relatives, and members of this congregation. I hope with you that this quarantine will be effective and soon over. I hope that you have a good and thoughtful week, and that you hear good news from all those for whom you worry this day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay home. Shalom, salam, blessed be. Namaste, and amen. I invite you now to join in singing closing hymn, Gather the Spirit, number 347 in our hymnal.
Gather the Spirit, harvest above, all separate flowers will kindle one flame. Witness the mystery of this hour, our trials in this light appear all the same. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the spirit of heart and mind, seeds for the sowing are laid in store, nurtured in love and conscience refined, with body and spirit united once more. Gather the Spirit growing in all, drawn by the moon and fed by the sun, winter to spring and summer to fall, the chorus of love resounding as one. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again.
As we prepare to leave this time, I invite you to virtually join hands with all those in this congregation and all those you'd like to invite to be with us. Remember that this church is dedicated to the proposition that behind all our differences, beneath all our diversity, there's a unity that makes us one and binds us forever together, in spite of time and death and the space between the stars. We pause in silent witness to that unity. May the blessing of love be upon you. May love's peace abide with you. May love's presence illuminate your hearts, now and forevermore. Live in peace, be safe. Amen.